Hi, this is Sarah Mikesell at the pig site, and today we're here with Dr. Paul Yeske. He's a veterinarian with Swine Vet Center based in Minnesota in the United States. Thanks for being with us today, Paul.
Happy to be with you.
Very good. And we are at Iowa State, and we'll give everybody kind of a general context. We're here right now at the Iowa Swine Day, but a couple days ago we were sitting in at the McKean Conference, which is another swine, more technical conference probably. And we sat in on the pre-conference, which was specific to PRRS, and the number came up, an updated number for the industry cost of $1.2 billion is the cost in the United States for PRRS annually. And that is up from, I believe it's 664,000 from 10 years ago. So let's talk a little bit about the increase in that amount and what we know about that, and then we'll kind of talk about what's next.
Certainly, and I think one thing just in context too is that data actually cut off in 2020.
Right.
So it was that time frame, so it's really before we saw some of these more severe strains come into the industry, the L1C.5s, or had formerly been known as the 144s, and it was kind of before that would have hit the industry. It would have just been starting in 2020. So the numbers are probably a little bit higher than that today just because it doesn't have that information. But the numbers did double. And when you think about that $1.2 billion number, that means while we're standing here today, producers lost $3.3 million.
That's crazy.
And so the cost of the disease is very, very relevant. And as they did the breakdown of the disease, and it's difficult to get these costs, and they have to do some estimations, but I think they have a good methodology of doing that. But majority of the cost was coming out of grow finish. So what we're seeing is historically it would have been more on the south side.
Right.
And today we're seeing more on the grow finish side, and as these viruses have evolved over time, we've seen more clinical signs on the grow finish side. And so it makes sense that the cost would go up on the grow finish side. And as we look at these costs and that continuing to go forward, like I said, it's probably going to be even higher when they look at the 20 to 25 numbers. So unfortunately, so I think it puts back to the industry to say, what can we do? I think the more, and as we look at the Morrison Swine Health Monitoring projects, we see more and more herds staying in that category 1 where they're have active virus moving in the herd. And I think one of the things we can do is continue to work on having less of those herds and reducing that number of herds that are in that category 1 shedding virus. We know that there's still going to be positive herds until there's a more formal program, but at least reducing those numbers can help us as we go forward. It can reduce the opportunity for the recombinations of the viruses and some of those headaches that come along with that over time, and hopefully be able to there's an economic benefit for the producers. If you look at the costs that we looked at there's an economic benefit for the producers to try and get those field strains out of their herds and try and put the biosecurity pieces into place to try and keep it from coming back. Both in the sow farms, there's been a lot of move to filtration and the complete biosecurity package to protect those farms, but we also need to move to the grow finish side and improve our biosecurity there so we're not carrying it through the grow finish and increasing that cost more than it necessarily has to be.
And we've certainly seen more conversations about biosecurity in grow finish. I remember being at the Lehman Swine Conference a few years ago and being kind of astonished at the lack of biosecurity in that area. Now that's been a couple years ago, and I believe I was sitting next to you and you said, we're getting there, Sarah, we're getting there, right?
Absolutely. There's progress being made. I would say certainly not necessarily everybody's moving at the same pace.
Right.
But I think there's a much higher level of awareness today, and there's much more people taking proactive moves. And there's some things you can do that don't cost an awful lot that can help with that biosecurity. As simple as the benches and the boot changes, and making sure we're not wearing the same boots and coveralls between multiple sites that we're doing chores on. That's just one simple thing, but
Right.
again, I would say producers are definitely looking at what can they do within the constraints of their barns. You know, a lot of these barns are older barns, and so it's not as easy in some of them as
Right.
some of the newer ones. But no, I think we are making progress, but there's still a ways to go.
Right. And just to talk a little bit bigger picture, industry-wide, right? What would it take from an industry-wide standpoint? I mean, we hear some talk about, right, some genetic changes that might be coming, or genetic options that might be coming, or a vaccine that, to be honest, really works and does what we need it to do, right? Or the industry needs it to do.
Yeah, I think the gene edit, is still in the process of being approved through FDA. I think the gene edit offers an incredible opportunity. Again, that's got to have consumer acceptance and all those things that go along with it. But the science is very good. It looks like, and we saw some of that at the meetings here, showing that those pigs just don't get infected.
Right.
And so, again, with that technology, that looks like that could be very promising for us, but it's not going to be the whole answer. We're still going to have to
Right.
do biosecurity. There's other things to worry about besides, if that really were here tomorrow,
Right.
we still need good biosecurity and that forgotten piece of biosecurity, biocontainment.
Right.
If we've got positive sites, we've also got to make sure that we're being careful to not move it down the road. And so we can't forget that one. Oftentimes that's the easy one to forget when you have an outbreak. And it's important that we try and keep it to that site.
Very good. And it's a good point, Paul, that the genetic side of this is not a silver bullet for sure, right?
Yeah. No, and it's going to take time.
Right.
It's a double recessive gene, and
Yeah.
so it's going to take some time to get it through the production
The
system.
system.
Even if we went at the fastest pace, the predictions are somewhere between 7 to 10 years to get it through the entire production system, and that would be everybody'd have to be coordinated and moving as quickly as possible.
Right.
It's going to take some time, but it is good to have those different tools available.
Yeah. Very good. And what about a vaccine? Do you feel like the industry is moving in the path of having a vaccine that could better prevent and better stop shedding?
Yeah, the vaccines have helped us along the way. They're just not perfect.
Right.
And they've helped to reduce some of the shedding. They've helped to reduce some of the clinical signs. But today, we probably need a breakthrough on the vaccine technology side before we can say we're going to see a lot of different changes from what we're seeing today. And I think we know we can use the tools that we have today, and they're valuable tools. I don't want to underestimate that there's value in those tools, just like the biosecurity tools. There's value in all those. And so, but long term, for the vaccine to be the full answer, I think we're going to have a breakthrough in technology, something different.
Interesting. Very good. Well, thank you so much for all the information today, Paul.
Thanks for having me, and happy to do it.
Very good. This is Sarah Mikesell with the Pig Site.